Pilot unintentionally discovers man's profound secret tribute meant for his late wife 17 years later. But before we start, please give the video a like and make sure to subscribe to Wonderbot and hit the bell so you'll never miss any uploads from us. They say that love is blind. This statement may be true because we do tend to do things irrationally when we're in love. Love at times changes our perceptions and views at a quick instant. A young man named Winston Howes and the love of his life, Janet, were on a memorable adventure when something tragic happened. So this poor guy had to spend the days after in sorrow. But soon he decided to be productive and portray his love in a meaningful way. It shocked the whole world when a pilot came across what he did. There are people who have experienced this, while some don't believe that love at first sight exists. However, there are always a few exceptions to this. For this cute couple, Janet and Winston Howes, they met and fell so hard in love with each other. It was like a movie script because being together felt magical for them at times. Their love was indeed growing. So how did it all start for this lovely couple? Well, Winston and Janet's romance started way back in the late 1950s. From the first moment that they saw each other, it was love at first sight. However, their story would not turn out like a classical Disney romance. In fact, the two went through something so challenging and disheartening that truly tested their bond. So since the two shared an immediate attraction and connection, Janet and Winston were confident that they should end up together. They dated for about 2 years and finally decided to tie the knot since their love multiplied each day. The two did not have much wealth, but with their unbreakable bond, they were certain that something good was bound to happen. Winston and Janet got hitched in the English town of Stroud, a countryside community that's well known for being warm and friendly. The lovebirds decided to tie the knot at the center of the town, and the whole town could join in their union and happiness. It was truly one of the most beautiful days the two had ever experienced. But something unfortunate awaited. So after planning their wedding day for weeks, the two could finally get officially married. The wedding went smooth, and the two were happier than ever. Even though both of them did not really have materialistic possessions, they were confident that with their love, everything would be okay. They exchanged their vows and promised each other for better or for worse. Like any vows exchanged on a wedding day, Winston and Janet made a promise to one another that they'd be there for each other until death intervened. They had absolutely no clue that death would come knocking sooner than expected. Still, even after one of them died, there was still a way the other showed just how deep their love was. And so after marrying each other, Winston and Janet started their life together by purchasing a small farm in a nearby village in the calm English countryside. The town had always been a very busy city, where a train stop was situated right between the bustling metropolises of Bristol and Birmingham. But soon after the station closed in 1965, it got a little closed off once again. But the sleepy little village was not completely affected in a negative way after being closed off. The small town is still quite alive and as busy as ever. Even without many tourists and commuters the train used to bring in. So no one ever expected that this would actually serve a good purpose to showcase the couple's unbelievable legacy. So since the couple decided to live in the countryside, working on the farm followed suit. It gave the newlyweds busy and to have their goals of their own. While Winston took care of and cultivated the land that he now bought, Janet would be in charge of looking after the house, keeping things organized and making it a home rather than a house. And indeed, the two of them were living a simple yet comfortable life. Janet and Winston basically had whatever a couple would need. And even they agreed that they were living a nice life, that they did not really need anything more. Their love was enough to get by each day. It was all they needed to survive. But sadly, this couple would meet with an unfortunate incident. And since they were so connected and in love, not a day went by on their farm that this newlywed couple got bored. Janet and Winston had a happy life together without much to worry about. Now, though, the two were head over heels for each other. There was something that was always at the back of their heads: parenthood. They didn't have any kids yet. They didn't hurry that much and were actually planning on starting a huge family. They wanted their land and home to be properly tended to by their future generations. Unfortunately for them, this dream of theirs would not happen. But their time spent on the farm would definitely mark and show evidence of the love they had for each other. And so, although they were not able to turn one of their dreams into reality, Janet and Winston marched forward. The house and land that they were living on was the one thing that kept them busy and happy. So with each passing day, the two of them grew even more devoted to one another. Only two of them lived in the house, but it was enough. Winston and Janet adored one another. The life that they'd gone to create together was enough. But soon after, their lives turned upside down. This happened at such a fast pace and ever so suddenly that they could not even prepare for any of it. Their simple, pleasant, and undisturbed life was all of a sudden under threat without any warning. So, what exactly happened to the couple? On an unassuming evening back in the year 1995, Janet's health suddenly deteriorated. She began to feel really unwell. The two of them initially decided to overlook the signs of her sickness, but soon it was too much to ignore. They couldn't wait anymore, so Winston convinced Janet to go and consult a doctor. As soon as they reached the hospital, Janet met with a number of doctors. The couple was ready to fight against what came their way, but they were shocked to hear that she was diagnosed with heart failure. If they'd gone earlier, it could have been treated, but Janet had already reached a critical condition. Things did not look up for her. And soon after the doctors ran tests, Janet's prognosis did not look good. She was experiencing so much pain, and her heart was failing at such a rapid rate. During that time, technology was not advanced, so indeed she could have been saved today, but it was then, so she passed away shortly. 55-year-old Janet could not win the fight against her illness. This obviously broke Winston's heart. In fact, the passing away of his dear wife broke Winston into bits. He felt alone, and the life he knew was now drastically changed. He felt lonely and empty with his one and only partner in crime gone. There was a huge hole in his heart, and Winston felt like he'd never be able to recover again. But as life goes on, he needed to somehow learn to cope. So the man was now alone without his dear wife to be with him. Winston felt unbearably alone and didn't know if he'd be able to stay alone and continue working at the farm. He tried hard to make sure he remained positive and go on, but it was too hard. The more he tried to work on and go on with his life, the more he found reminders of his wife. So working and spending time alone at the house and land he spent each day with his deceased wife left him heartbroken. But he came up with an idea. Soon the lonely widower found a way to make sure the memory of his true love remained for years and years to come. It was going to take him so much effort and time, but he was ready for this. So whatsoever could it be? Winston, who was now living a lonely life, began planting something big. It was going to take so many years if he was serious about completing his aim. It was all for his wife, so everything would be worth it in the end. This would be a sign of his undying love and devotion for his late wife, so that the public can see for years to come. But this was not something that would be visible at any vantage point. The plan was to have a memorial that would be visible even decades after it was completed. And for such a huge project, it was clear that Winston would need help. Winston would have to remain very patient if he wanted his plans to succeed. He knew that his dear wife would be looking at the shed and farm they so lovingly built for so many years. He wanted this memorial to be something his wife would be proud of. The plan that Winston constructed was a simple idea, but would require a lot of years to execute. He was going to have to ask for some assistance from the locals, the people who knew the couple had been married for 33 years, to get Janet immortalized. The plan was not for show, and had not been for an air balloon pilot who mistakenly found it in 2012, it would still remain a secret. A whole new world. So, when Andy Collett was flying his hot air balloon over the English countryside, he saw something spectacular. He ran out of words to describe the magnificent view he witnessed. I have my own balloon and am quite a regular flyer, but this was the most amazing sight I've ever seen from the sky, Collett revealed. It was perfectly hidden away from view. You would know it was there. It looked like an ordinary tree grove on the ground, but from up above, it had significance. So what was Winston's big plan then? Well, everything was in the trees that he had planted on the land he bought with his wife. The whole forest was actually a representation, both figuratively and literally, of the love that he shared with Janet through all those years. It was a way he could showcase their bond and all the years they'd spent together. So it turns out only a few people who helped in creating the forest knew about what it was all for. No one knew that this creation existed. This very special memorial for Winston's wife had been kept a secret for over 17 years. The secret finally spilled when the hot air balloon pilot Andy Collett flew over the location of Winston and Janet's shed. The pilot was left in awe looking at the breathtaking work of Winston. So why were the trees planted for his wife so special? What made it stand out from other man-made forests? The forest had been designed in the shape of a heart. It was way beyond anyone's expectation or imagination. He'd made sure the middle of the foliage was in the shape of a heart. It was a true symbol of their life and love together on the land. He knew she'd be smiling down from the heavens, looking at him and his creation. The heart shape in the middle was not all. Winston made sure to plant Janet's favorite flower, daffodils, on the inside of the heart. He kept a bench to sit on the clearing as well. "I sometimes go down there just to sit and think about things," Winston admitted. It was a symbol of the beautiful life he shared with Janet. It will remain so for decades to come as well and is undoubtedly a touching effort. The saplings Winston had planted took years to grow, and finally, after years, pilot Andy Collett was able to discover it. There was something much deeper to the meaning of this site than just Winston and Janet's love for each other. It was something only he and Janet were in on. The bottom of the heart pointed towards a village called Watton Hill, where Janet was raised. "It's a lovely and lasting tribute to Janet, which will be here for years," Winston revealed. The farm was about 112 acres. It's indeed a massive plot of land. This idea was not something that comes to Winston immediately. It took him quite a long time, even a longer time, to make everything come to reality. This was not an easy task, and it was a challenge for an engineer too. Winston could not just clear out the trees in the middle after growing the trees. He had to plan and grow every detail himself. This forest actually needed about 6,000 oak tree saplings to make it come to life. Saplings that were planted had to be looked after and tended each day in the middle of the English countryside. Though this was his idea, Winston could not take all the credit for this magnificent creation. He obviously needed the help of a number of local friends, the only people who were in on this amazing forest. "We planted large oak trees around the edge and decided to put a hedge around it too," Winston would later reveal to interviewers following the day the hot air balloonist uncovered his secret. He's particularly proud of this obvious tribute because no one could tell what it was from the ground. An ordinary person would not be able to see it, but it warms his heart knowing that his wife in heaven can see it each time she looks down. Right after Collett's observation was made public in 2012, Winston's secret memorial for his wife soon became the hot topic on the internet. Pictures of the heartwarming tribute were spread all over social media, touching thousands of people's hearts. "How lovely a tribute to your beloved wife," a Facebook user expressed. "I have heart decor in my home and my partner's resting place. He too passed away suddenly with heart disease, and I'd love a place like this to visit." Inspirational. Winston's story soon went viral, and it led to inspiring so many folks to commemorate and keep their loved ones' memories alive. So many individuals went on to do their own version of tributes as it brought a sense of fulfillment. Many people agreed that the forest was a unique and beautiful tribute for Janet to look down on. Though Janet's gone, her husband had planted her memory in a permanent manner. Now she'll always be remembered. Winston would occasionally visit this site that the two shared together, where their love blossomed. This has served as a place of solitude where Winston can reflect and keep his mind at ease. Now he always has a place to go in case he misses his wife or needs to feel her presence.